Coming up on this edition of Skate Sharpening the Wissota Way, fully understanding the principles and theory of sharpening skates, from radius to dressing the wheel, to even edges, from setting the skate holder to safely and perfectly sharpening that skate. What happens when cold steel meets the ice? Here at Wissota Skate Sharpeners, we've got the answers and information that will give you the edge you're looking for.
A lot of times we look to the sticks, the skates, and all sorts of other things besides the edges. And it's the least expensive way for us to give our kid an advantage and keep them consistent on the ice.
With Wissota Skate Sharpeners, we've got you covered, from peewees to prep.
Taking care of your Wissota is as easy as replacing the consumable goods when you need to and waxing the base of your machine.
And don't look now, but Wissota Skate Sharpeners are also gaining more and more attention from the pros.
In your corners and straight ahead, you feel very confident, and that comes with the right sharpen coming into that. And when you don't have it, you know it.
But now that I teach skating, especially with my own kids, I'm far more in tune to my edges and how important they are and how much of an impact the skate sharpening actually has.
Skating is the essence of the game at every level. So get ready, get set, and get the edge you're looking for by sharpening skates the Wissota way. It all starts right now. Hello and welcome to Sharpening Skates the Wissota Way. Along with the owner of Wissota Skate Sharpeners, Tony Shimmick, I'm Eric Gislason. We're glad you're with us. Tony, we have a lot of useful information to pass on to our viewers today watching at home. We are going to talk about advanced skate sharpening techniques. We're just going to talk about skate sharpening 101 on today's show. But first and foremost, what about the absolute base level of finding the great edge, and oftentimes that may be overlooked in the hockey process?
Well, you're right, Eric, because a lot of times the essence of the game is skating, and a lot of times we look to the sticks, the skates, and all sorts of other things besides the edges. And it's the least expensive way for us to give our kid an advantage and keep them consistent on the ice.
When I think about all the money I invested in my kids' skates over the years, it had a high-performance boot, you had a high-performance plastic, but I wasn't necessarily, and I don't think he was, that focused in on the steel and the edges. That's what we're talking about.
Yes, it is. That'll make the difference.
Tell me a little bit about Wissota Skate Sharpeners. Obviously, they're no stranger to the hockey world.
No, we started in 1946, long before our competitors, and continue to make all our machines here in the USA today.
Wissota Skate Sharpeners have been around since 1946. That's before any of our competitors were born, let alone formed. We even have a Wissota Skate Sharpener in the United States Hockey Hall of Fame. That's because we are American-made.
Tony, who are some of the customers profile-wise of Wissota, and what about your product line? What kind of packages or products do you offer at Wissota?
Well, Eric, we sell to a lot of different customers. We'll sell to the mom and dad that are doing it at home. We sell to a lot of Division I, Division III hockey clubs, a lot of high school clubs, a lot of traveling clubs. We also sell to a lot of stores that sharpen skates for a living and make their living that way.
And as far as your product line and package line?
Our products, we build one unit, but we package it several different ways depending on the situation you have at home or at your rink and what you need.
Every product we build is unsurpassable in accuracy, precision, and durability. And best of all of our sharpeners are easy to use. Every Wissota skate sharpener we build and sell is portable. That means you can sharpen skates at home, the rink, or on the road for weekend tournaments and events. We're proud of our Wissota starting lineup. From the Wissota 911, featuring our 3D 3-dial skate holder, 80 grip pink wheel and diamond dresser, hand hone, edge checker, dust hood, and this package also includes a pedestal stand which is great around the home or rink. If you want our Wissota 911 completely portable, we also offer package deals that includes your choice of anything and everything with the 911 model, but also a travel case with wheels. It's that mobile and that easy.
Now, I understand you make Wissota Skate Sharpeners top to bottom right here in the state of hockey, Minnesota. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And you also refuse to use really what we would call less quality parts, or sometimes even foreign imported parts, which I understand have decimated a little bit of the skate sharpening industry.
Yeah, Eric, we've chosen to continue to build what we consider a commercial grade machine with all USA parts.
So at the end of the day, everyone has choices, right? What kind of sharpeners they're going to buy and what kind of sharpeners they're going to use. What would you say distinguishes Wissota in terms of, meat and potatoes and guts of it all?
Well, I think we have a few things that distinguish us. One being our motor size is typically twice the size of our competitors, which means it'll last forever. The other thing we've continued to do is use a solid steel cast base on the machine, which really adds strength to it and always gives you a flat surface to make sure you're getting even edges.
We believe building with non-American made materials has decimated and negatively affected the quality of the skate sharpening market. We build every Wissota sharpener with American made and engineered parts for the highest quality precision, accuracy, and durability. And once again, our sharpeners are easy to use.
Tony, that's great stuff, and actually the perfect segue to our next topic of conversation here on Sharpening Skates the Wissota Way. And now to the reason we are really here today on Sharpening Your Skates the Wissota Way. And Tony, no doubt a lot of people watching may have just purchased a new Wissota skate sharpener. A lot of you may have one already. A lot of you may be thinking about purchasing a Wissota skate sharpener. Where do we begin when we talk about seeking those good, even edges the Wissota way we've been talking about?
Eric, the best place to start is at the skate holder and make sure we have it properly set up to give us even edges.
In order to achieve even edges, our skate holder needs to be set up correctly so that our skate blade is both perpendicular and parallel to the middle of the grinding wheel. There are 4 easy things that will guarantee even edges. Simply measure the height of the left side of the bracket. Make note, measure the right side. We are not worried about the height relative to the grinding wheel right now. We are just making sure that the height of both sides of the bracket are equal. Change the height of the sides of the bracket with the front left and front right dials on our skate holder so that the left and right sides of the bracket are at the exact same height. Be aware that moving one side of the bracket will affect the other side as well. Imagine a teeter-totter. Once you're level or parallel, turn the rear tilt dial until the front face of our bracket is perpendicular or straight up and down, 90 degrees to the tabletop of the skate sharpening machine. The easiest way to do this is to put a square on the machine table. Put it up against the front face of the bracket and then turn only the tilt dial until the front face of the bracket becomes flush with the square. Now, before you make any adjustments, reset the magnetic labels on the dials so that all 3 dials read 0. Now you need to use the height control to raise or lower the top of the skate holder bracket to position the center of the skate blade to the crown of the radius shape on your grinding wheel. To keep the level and tilt consistent from our previous setup, move all 3 dials equally to adjust the height.
Folks, we're going to be talking a lot about radius today on Sharpening Skates the Wissota Way. Tony, what exactly do we mean by radius?
The radius is the hollow that we grind into the bottom of the blade when we're sharpening the skates to get even edges.
And there are determining factors to determine radius actually in this?
Yeah, your weight, the position you're playing, the ice temperature, and your skill level.
Number 1 is weight. How much does your skater weigh? A very light skater does not have the weight to dig into the ice, which is why they need a smaller or deeper hollow to get that same bite from their blades. Number 2, if your skater is a hockey player, what position does he or she play? Forward? Defense? If your player is a winger or a center, they're skating forward a lot. If they play defense, there's a lot of backward skating. Proper radius is key, and we have information that comes with our sharpeners to help determine radius by position. Other key factors in radius selection are ice temperature and skill level. As a general rule, a larger radius will give you more glide and be more durable than a smaller radius, while a smaller radius will give you more bite or grip for tight turns. Ultimately, choosing the best radius is completely up to your own personal preference.
That actually makes sense even to a dumb old sportscaster. When I played, and I didn't play at a high level, but I didn't like very sharp skates. And so what did that mean to adjusting my radius? And then there's also, dressing the wheel and stuff next, right?
Yeah, what that means is we wouldn't put as deep a radius or as deep a hollow into your blade to give you that sharp edge. We'd still do even edges, but we'd simply adjust this one set screw here and put our radius where we want it. Then we'd dress the wheel and be ready to go.
Here's how to set your radius. It's as simple as lining up the radius of your choice on the label with the indicator pin on your dressing arm. To change your radius, simply loosen the red knob on the dressing arm, line up your new radius with your indicator pin, and tighten the red knob again. Now that our radius is set, we are ready to dress our wheel. Before you turn your machine on to dress the wheel, use the adjustment dial on your guard cover to move the tip of your diamond dresser right up to the grinding wheel. After you are done lining up your diamond, tighten down your red knobs on the guard cover, just finger tight. Now you can turn on your machine and slowly inch your diamond closer to the grinding wheel until you can see the tip of the diamond cut into the whole surface of your grinding wheel. Once you have seen this, your wheel has been cut to the radius of your choice.
All right, folks, if you're scoring at home, we've determined radius, Tony. We've set the radius, and we've dressed the stone, and now what?
Now it's time to sharpen the skates.
The Wissota way.
Initially, you can adjust the height of your holder so that your skate blade is very close to the crown of the wheel. You can estimate by squatting down and looking down the side of your wheel to see where your skate blade lines up. However, the only way to fine-tune your holder and make sure you are set up correctly is to sharpen your blade, and use your edge checker tool to see how your edges are looking. To check your skate blade for even edges, place the magnet of your even edge checker on top of your skate blade and hold it horizontally to look down the side of the blade. Now all you're looking to see is if your edge checker is sitting parallel with the flat piece of your skate holder bracket. If so, your edges are level and therefore even, and you are ready to take the skate out of the holder. If not, you need to make further adjustments to your skate holder, regrind, and recheck. If showing a high top edge, the dials on your skate holder need to be moved down so that the skate blade moves from the top to the middle of the grinding wheel. If you're showing a high bottom edge, the dials on your skate holder need to be moved up so that the skate blade moves from the bottom to the middle of the grinding wheel.
So Tony, in your expert opinion, are there a couple of common mistakes people sharpening skates make?
Yeah, there are a couple things that can happen, but they're very easy to correct on a Wissota.
The first common error is prematurely checking your edges before you have fully ground your blade. Every skater uses their inside edge more than their outside edge, so your edges are going to be uneven before you start sharpening. If you do not grind past these uneven edges to a fresh new part of the metal on your skate blade, your edge checker will give you an inaccurate reading about your holder setup. Your edge checker might tell you that you have a high top edge, and therefore you need to adjust your skate holder down, when in reality, your skate holder is set up right in the middle of your wheel, and you just needed to grind all the way through your blades. This happens a lot when you take your skates into some sporting goods stores. Making matters worse is that this type of operator will usually not check their finished work, since they believe they have ground to the center. These operators are called method operators. They pay attention to their method, but they do not check for results. Remember, always grind your blades all the way through before checking your edges.
So, as I understand it, that is not going to happen now with a Wissota 911, and if you really think about it, if you don't get it right in the first place, it's not going to be right in the end. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, that's right, Eric. Remember where we started. The most important thing, get your holder set up properly.
The Wissota way is results driven. With the Wissota, you check and verify that every skate has even edges. You can do this after the skate has been completely ground, exposing all new metal. And we do this in the skate holder. No skate even comes out of the skate holder, much less makes it onto the ice, unless it meets your accuracy parameters. Making even edges is simple. Follow the Wissota way.
Well, that makes perfect sense to me. What about this notion, Tony? If you have everything set up with your Wissota, one time, every time it's going to be perfect. True or false?
False, Eric. It can change based on the thickness of your blade.
You have to understand how blade thickness variations affect skate sharpening accuracy. This could represent a figure skate versus a hockey skate, a hockey goalie skate versus regular hockey, or this could just be an exaggeration of blade thickness variations in general. A thicker skate blade is going to naturally sit higher on your grinding wheel. Therefore, you're going to have to adjust your holder so that this new thicker blade is moved down to the middle of your wheel. Now, keep track of the adjustments you make on your dial, so you can easily get back to even edges for your thicker skate blades the next time you sharpen.
Hope you're enjoying sharpening skates the Wissota way. Don't worry, we'll recap all the information we're sharing with you a little later on in the show. You can visit us online at wissota.com. We're visiting with Tony Shimmick. He's the owner of Wissota Skate Sharpeners. We've talked about the performance value and the added value you get with Wissota. I want to talk now about economic value because it's an investment off the top, but if you look long term, time is money, convenience is priceless in the hockey world. You get it all with Wissota.
Well, you do, Eric. If you have 2 to 3 skaters in your house, your machine's paid for in less than a year. The other issue we have is that you get consistent even edges every time you do it. As where when you go to a sporting goods store, you're not sure what the guy got ahead of you, and that's typically what you'll get. It's much more mass produced.
It's a great point. You bring up sporting goods stores, and we have a lot of friends in the sporting goods business. Some of them are even clients and customers of Wissota. But at the same time, they are challenged to really give that custom edge or give that definitive edge to the right player, the right position, the right height, the right weight. It's almost like a mass production line versus one time, every time to your specific player with the Wissota, isn't it?
It certainly can be, as where we can adjust very quickly, so we give you that advantage at home and very easy to do.
I have a backyard rink at home. Many people know about this rink. We call it the GIS Center. We skate out there a lot, and then my kids have games the next day, and they've been on the outdoor ice all night, and sometimes sporting goods stores aren't even open.
No, but in 5 minutes in your basement, you can give them even edges, so tomorrow, at their game or practice, they're at their best.
Well, whether you're just breaking into the hockey or figure skating scene, Tony, or maybe you've been around it your entire life, we really believe there is a place for Wissota skate sharpeners in your world. But hey, don't take our word for it, right? Our next guest on Sharpening Skates the Wissota Way is certainly no stranger to the hockey world. He's a former Mr. Minnesota Hockey Award winner, former Division I college player, former U.S. Olympian and former professional hockey player, and current professional hockey coach, and yes, nowadays, even a hockey dad. He's Darby Hendrickson.
Hi Darby, thanks for joining us today. My first question is, what did even edges mean for you when you were playing? What did they do for your performance?
I just think it was a critical part of your game, your preparation to have your skates right. You know, I think for me, growing up, skating was a big part of your game, so you wanted that glide, you wanted your edges right. You know, I know even when you were younger, there was different rinks you'd play in. Some ice was a little softer, some was harder. So I was always tweaking with that a little bit. But there was a comfort level, and I think the biggest thing is just being confident in how your skates were sharpened. And you knew when you had a good sharp, you knew that you were feeling good about your edges right away in warm-ups. And it was something that I was, in my preparation and my mindset, I always looked into just to make sure that that was right. The skates along with the sticks were probably the two important ingredients that I focused on.
Hey Darbs, Eric Gisselson here. What in your opinion are some of the nuances of the way pros sharpen their skates versus, let's say, college or pee-wees or high school? Isn't it all about position and preference?
It really is. I mean, there's so many different players. I think you know, you certainly can get into the rockering of skates, whether you're tip forward or back, whether you're defenseman, whether you're forward. And I think really your style, because you could look at a forward and say, well, he's a good skater, he's got a lot of glide, meaning he looks effortless. But I think you see a lot of defensemen, kind of puck rushing defensemen who have that same attribute. So, you know, these type of guys might be agility guys in the corner where they're making breakouts and making quick passes. So they want a balance of an edge where they can turn, but once they get up ice, they want to have that glide, so there's less resistance on the ice. But even from a forward perspective, for me personally, you know, you want to glide to especially the neutral zone, but like when you're down low playing offensive, you're tight turning against a defending defenseman, you got to have enough cut in the ice too. So to me, it was always a fine balance, but it was always, you're always adjusting to with like I say, different surfaces, different ice, maybe hardness versus softness. So. Not to a huge degree. Some guys would vary more, but for me, I'd stayed kind of within more of a glide, but enough that you could turn and had that sharpness too.
Darby, are there a lot of families in your youth association that sharpen their own skates? And if so, what are the economic and competitive advantages you see them getting?
Yeah, you know, I said actually two topics. I've had a lot of conversations with parents when you're at games. One is the outdoor rink world. I mean, a lot of people like to do outdoor rinks at home. It's a passion. It's a fun thing where you help get that ready for your kids. And so many different nuances of that. But the other conversation I've had a lot is just with parents who have sharpeners. A lot of dads. It seems like the number is growing. It's probably still in the lower half, but you know, I've been at tournaments where dads or we have this sharpener there, and you'll grab 6 or 8 sets of skates, and you know, rather than find the local sporting goods store, and no disrespect there, it's nice to have hands-on on your own stuff. It's nice to know what cut some of the kids on the team want, and you can get that dialed in. But it's a fun one because, you know, there's different ways different people in some ways will sharpen a skate, and little techniques and little parts that you can add to the technique that might even help with a little more glide. So you know, I just think it's fun, and it's also something that is certainly cost efficient over time with your kids' skates.
Based on your vast hockey experience, if you had any advice on how to get those good even edges that Tony has talked about on today's show, Darby, what would it be?
Well, first of all, if you have any interest, this is a great brand that for sure is going to bring high level and elite product technology to sharpening skates. I've used this for a while, and it's top of the line. And I've seen a lot of other elite models of different companies, but this one is to me as good as it gets. To me, certain people have a different interest. They sort of, if you want to be hands-on, if it's something you want to invest in, to me there's some training, first of all, that would be important. Getting around some people, not just dads, but people through Wissota with the company that can help educate you on A to Z, on not only starting up the machine, but addressing your diamond, making sure things are level, getting the proper cut. I mean, those things are, to me, very learnable. And then it's just experience. It's actually taking an old set of skates and just sort of playing with it and getting comfortable with getting that right cut. And then from there, it's just experience where you're doing it constantly. And I think the way a lot of these machines are set up, they're so reliable in terms of the levelness, where you're set up. It's really hard to mess it up too much. So it's really not a difficult task, and it's actually pretty fun along the way. And like I said, when not only your skates feel good if you're still skating, it's kind of fun to do your own, but it's fun when your kids have satisfaction and play well, feel good about their skates, and are confident and dad sharpening their skates. It's pretty fun.
Darby, it's an honor having you on our show today. Thanks for joining us on Sharpening Your Skates the Wissota Way.
Thanks, it's been a pleasure to be here.
Well, thanks to Darby Hendrickson for joining us on Sharpening Skates the Wissota Way. He had great insight from peewees to pros. Darby was really dialed in on those edges, and he still is today for his boys as a hockey dad. And let's not forget, Tony, that hockey's also for girls and women. It's not just for boys and men anymore.
No, Eric, there's a lot of young girls playing hockey today, and I think most of them will know the next guest we have here on Sharpening the Wissota Way.
She's a former Ms. Minnesota Hockey Award winner, former Division I college player, a former U.S. Olympian, and current high school hockey coach, Chrissy Wendell.
Hi, Chrissy. Thanks for joining us today. I'm wondering if you can tell me what it meant to you to have even edges when you played, considering you played at the highest level of women's hockey.
I think edges became more important actually the older I got and the further along I got in my career. I don't think when I was younger I paid too much attention to it. I kind of just went with wherever my dad brought my skates to be sharpened. And when I got older I became much more aware, and I'm really glad I did, because hockey's a game of seconds. So any extra second you can get, whether it's turning or stopping, it really made a big difference.
Hey Chrissy, Eric Gislason here. What do you think is the biggest disadvantage of really not fully understanding properly sharpened skates and those good even edges that we're talking about today?
I think probably the biggest thing is just the consistency. You want to have a consistent performance when you play, and if your skates are a little bit inconsistent, it totally impacts just the way you stop. If you're not confident going into a turn or a stop, it really impacts just the way you approach the game, and it can be kind of mental, I think. For me anyways, knowing if I didn't have an edge or I lost an edge during a game, it really impacted just the way you played and approached the whole big picture of the game.
Hey Chrissy, you've played at the highest level of women's hockey. What, in your opinion, are the main differences of sharpening skates between men and women and boys and girls? And there is a difference, yes?
I couldn't agree more. I think there is such a big difference. And I think just the size, if I come in and if I had my dad bring my skates in, at the sporting goods store, they don't really know who those skates are even for. They come in, they see a little pair. If I bring them in for my daughter, they have no idea the size. And I think the size is almost more important than the gender, I would say, because even within the different genders, there's different sizes. And I guess I would say personal preference is a big thing. Not knowing what your personal preference is in. You go to a different out-of-town tournament. There's a lot of out-of-town tournaments, which are always fun. You're going to go to a different sporting goods store, and if you don't know exactly what you like, you're going to get a completely different sharpening. Obviously, somebody else is doing it, different sharpener. And so it really it can impact the consistency and just your overall skating.
Chrissy, you've got two daughters skating and playing now. Do you have a lot of kids in your youth circles that are sharpening their own skates today? What do you think the competitive and economic advantages are for that?
I think so. I think people in hockey especially, like you said, it's a very expensive sport, whether it's the training, the ice times, the equipment, the sticks, the skates you pay for, and any advantage, though people will pay high end for a nice stick that will break in the first game you play it. So I think any advantage you can get in hockey is a huge advantage, and I think you could almost look at it as an investment because it's actually overall improving the way you skate and the consistency that you skate. And if you think about it, I can't even imagine how much money my parents put into bringing my skates to the sports stores. Had they just had their own sharpener, it would have been probably more easier on them in terms of the timing of it. A lot of times sports stores are closed. When we'd skate outside at the park, we'd try and bring our skates in to get sharpened and it wouldn't even be open. So I think not only is it an investment because you'd pay just as much bringing them into a store, but it's actually a convenience thing too. That would be really nice.
Chrissy, great stuff, and we thank you for joining us today on Sharpening Skates the Wissota Way.
Thank you.
Well, that's just about going to do it for this edition of Sharpening Skates the Wissota Way. We surely hope our viewers at home know a lot more about Wissota skate sharpening products now and how to get that, what you call, good, even edge. Tony, where can folks learn more about Wissota?
www.wissota.com.
For our parting shot on Sharpening Skates the Wissota Way, Colin McKissick of Wissota checks in now with some helpful tips on safety, convenience, and maintenance of your Wissota skate sharpening product.
We've minimized maintenance, maximized convenience, and here's Colin.
Thanks, guys. Taking care of your Wissota machine is as easy as replacing the consumable goods when you need to and keeping the table of your base waxed. There are 3 consumables on your Wissota machine. Number 1 is going to be your grinding wheels, which last approximately 200 pair of skates. Number 2 is your diamond dressing tool, which lasts approximately 500 pair. Number 3 is your felt wear pads and the skate holder, which will last approximately 600 pair of skates.
For all of you teams and hockey parents that are always on the road, Wissota has a travel case set up that makes your machine completely portable. The telescopic handle and heavy-duty wheels make it easily transportable, and when you're ready to sharpen skates, simply open your travel case, plug in your machine, and you're good to go.
Bottom line is, we want you to enjoy your Wissota machine, but at the same time, we want you to be safe. Remember to wear your protective eyeglasses, and always be aware of your grinding wheel when your machine's turned on. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. We're all on the same team. Back to you guys.
Hey, thanks to Colin. We should also, Tony, be thanking Darby Hendrickson and Chrissy Wendell-Pohl for joining us on Sharpening Skates the Wissota Way.
And remember, when you're sharpening skates, there's only one way, the Wissota way.
He's Tony Shimmick. I'm Eric Giselson. Thanks most of all to you at home for watching, and remember, get yourself not only the performance, but the economical edge at your rink. Get yourself a Wissota. So long, everybody.